I've crossed into your dark timeline, and now I'm going to darken it.
How?
Welcome to MsMojo, and today we're counting down our picks for the top 10 sitcom characters with surprisingly tragic backstories.
I would assume it's because Sheldon and I stay in touch due to mutual interest and respect, while you avoid me due to unresolved childhood issues.
Why asking?
I'm just asking.
How come?
I'm curious.
How come?
Because I asked.
How come?
The last person to do this disappeared. His name? Creed Bratton.
For this list, we'll be looking at characters who made you laugh, but whose life wasn't always so funny. Let us know your thoughts on these tragic origin stories in the comments. Number 10. Jung, Kim's Convenience. Jung Kim is the son of Appa and Amma, who run the titular Kim's Convenience store. Jung doesn't work in the family store though, and in fact he also barely talks to his father.
When's the last time you talked to me?
So you're never gonna talk to him again?
It's working so far.
As a teenager, Jung committed some petty crimes and spent some time in juvie. He also stole from the family business, which was the final straw for his father, who kicked him out of the house.
I drove the van when I was 13.
You stole the van when you were 13.
No, we stole the van when he was 13.
Technically, if your family owns it, it's not stealing.
Jung is now in his mid-20s and has turned his life around, but when the series begins, his relationship with his father hasn't recovered.
I don't know how he knew that I worked here. I can't talk to him. Can you handle this?
Number 9. Punky Brewster. Punky Brewster. In case you forgot, Punky wasn't just the cute little girl with a big smile and 2 different coloured shoes. How she was left without parents is a sad and tragic story you may have forgotten.
You'll never make me say anything I don't want to, even if you shove my head in a nutcracker and make me eat lima beans.
You see, when Brewster was a little girl, her father walked out on her and her mother. And while that would be hard on any kid, Punky was then abandoned by her mother in a mall while they were shopping for groceries.
Maybe my mom just forgot about me. People forget things, right? But one day she'll come back for me, and we'll live happily ever after.
Punky and her dog find refuge in an empty apartment in a nearby building, and it's there that she finds the grumpy old man who will eventually love and adopt her.
Brandon, I'm home for good.
Number 8. Perry Cox. Scrubs. Given his tough love style and abrasive nature, you might have assumed that Dr. Percival Ulysses Cox, MD, had a tough childhood. And you'd be right.
That's a trauma twofer.
Can you two please just try to get along?
Perry Cox grew up with an alcoholic and violent father and a mother who didn't protect him.
I would literally swear on my father's grave, but whenever I go there, I usually just end up dancing on it.
While Perry grew up to be a doctor and a caring hardass, his sister, Paige, sought solace in religion. Cox loves his sister, but they butt heads a lot, and when she's around, it's a reminder of the awful childhood that he's tried to put behind him.
I've worked hard to try to forget everything about our childhood. But when I see you, I can't think about anything else.
Number 7. Leonard Hofstadter, The Big Bang Theory. Leonard grew up in New Jersey, the child of academics.
That seems a fairly efficient arrangement.
Yes, we think so. We've both done papers on it. Mine from a neuroscientific point of view and his from an anthropological. Mine, of course, was the only one worth reading.
This probably helped guide him on the scientific path he chose as his career, but his domineering, unloving mother was definitely something he needed to overcome when it came to his relationships with women. Not only did his mother not show him any affection, but she also used Leonard as a thing to study and wrote about everything he did in her best-selling books.
You know, there's no guarantee, even if you have kids, that you're gonna like them.
Wow, that's rough. Where do you get that?
It's right off the dust jacket of my mom's last book.
Leonard has always felt inferior to his siblings and has longed for any approval and affection from his mother. So much so that when he was a child, he built a robot that could hug him.
That is so sad.
You know what the saddest part was?
What?
My father used to borrow it.
Number 6. Creed Bratton, The Office. Creed is one of the most mysterious characters on The Office, and his backstory has to be taken with a grain of salt. In one episode, he claims to have been born in 1925, and since we're pretty sure he isn't 80 years old, we can assume he sometimes likes to stretch the truth.
You're over 75 years old?
82 November 1st. How much is the prize money?
There's no prize money.
But is any of this real?
So, did he spend some time inside an iron lung as a child? Did he spend time in prison? Did he kill a man named Creed Bratton and assume his identity? Has he been involved with multiple cults?
You have more fun as a follower, but you make more money as a leader.
If any of these things are true, it's enough to make the list. If they are all true, he should probably have a list all to himself.
Really, what do I do here? I mean, I should have written it down. Something.
Number 5, Britta Perry. Community. Britta Perry lived a very active and varied life before ending up at community college. She was a foot model, she travelled to Africa, she joined multiple activist groups, and was tear-gassed at rallies. But we have to go back to her 11th birthday to get at the root of Britta's tragic story. Because, as was implied on various occasions, that's when Britta was inappropriately handled by a man in a dino costume.
Is that why you dropped out of high school?
I don't know.
Are those even real glasses?
No! Making it even worse, her father took the man's side against her.
My parents are horrible people.
You're being dramatic.
Oh yeah, that's what people say when they take your soul and they rip it out of your chest and they shove it in your mouth.
And she isn't the only member of the study group with parents who didn't protect them. Jeff Winger's dad was an abusive alcoholic who abandoned him when he was a young boy.
I'm just a grown man who can't even look his own friends in the eye for too long because I'm afraid that they'll see that I am broken.
Number 4, Jared Dunn, Silicon Valley. On Donald Dunn's first day of work, Gavin Belson starts calling him Jared, and it sticks.
Oh, Donald, you've come undone.
However, there's a chance, albeit very small, that Jared is actually his real name, because as Jared mentions in Season 3, his first Child Protective Services worker never found his birth certificate. Jared moved through the foster care system throughout his childhood, living in poor conditions which he said he paid for with endless back-breaking chores.
Think of it more as forced adoption through aggressive guerrilla marketing.
Well, as a product of forced adoption, I can assure you there are consequences.
And that doesn't even get into the constant teasing he experienced throughout his primary and high school days.
I've never felt like I was anyone's bro before. The only people who have used that term with me were assailants.
Number 3, Charlie Kelly. It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia. Charlie Kelly's tragic backstory dates back to before he was born, when his mother tried to terminate her pregnancy, but it didn't work, and he was born 3 months later.
We went to one of those clinics, one of those underground clinics, because Frank didn't want to spend a lot of money.
Yeah? His mother also had to keep his birth certificate from his dad, Frank, who was married to someone else and would have made her abandon him. It's also strongly implied that his Uncle Jack's mistreatment of him left him traumatized.
Oh, it's not good. This is not a comedy. You ain't all supposed to be laughing.
Charlie's half-sister Dee didn't have it easy either. Frank was a terrible father to her. They had a Nazi grandfather, and her scoliosis meant she had to wear a back brace, leading to the schoolyard nickname the Aluminium Monster.
Man, Aluminum Monster, that is hilarious.
No, it's not hilarious. I share this little girl's pain.
Number 2, Kimmy Schmidt, Unbreakable Kimmy Schmidt. There's a good reason they call her Unbreakable, and it's not because she's a big fan of M. Night Shyamalan's follow-up to The Sixth Sense. No, it's because she suffered through a horrible event that would have easily broken many others.
We're just garbage, Kimmy. That's not true. We're not garbage, we're human beings. I have to get my life back. Everybody in Durnsville is always going to look at me like I'm a victim, and that's not what I am.
When she was younger, Kimmy was kidnapped by Reverend Richard Wayne Gary Wayne, who imprisoned her and 3 other women in an underground bunker for 15 years.
Reverend Richard told us that there had been a nuclear apocalypse and that the earth was scorched and there were lakes of fire and stuff.
Even though she went through something that could easily ruin someone's faith in humanity, Kimmy comes out of it with an optimism that even a decade and a half in captivity couldn't break.
You can either curl up in a ball and die like we thought Cindy did that time, or you can stand up and say, we're different, we're the strong ones, and you can't break us.
Before we continue, be sure to subscribe to our channel and ring the bell to get notified about our latest videos. You have the option to be notified for occasional videos or all of them. If you're on your phone, make sure you go into your settings and switch on notifications.
Number 1. Phoebe Buffay, Friends. As with Kimmy Schmidt, Phoebe Buffay is the most optimistic character on the show, even though her story is the most tragic. Where do we begin with Phoebe? Of course, we have to mention that her biological mother gave her up, her father abandoned her, and her adoptive mother took her own life.
And I got here and I didn't know anybody. And I ended up living with this albino guy who was like cleaning windshields outside Port Authority. And then he killed himself. And then I found aromatherapy. So believe me, I know exactly how you feel.
Then there was her time living on the streets where she had to resort to mugging people, and she got hepatitis when a pimp spit in her mouth.
I got over it. And anyway, now I'm a freelance massage therapist, which, you know, isn't always steady money, but at least I don't pay taxes.
And we can't forget that she also stabbed a cop, but only because he stabbed her first. Along with Miss Schmidt, we think Phoebe Buffay deserves to be called unbreakable for how well she emerged from those hard beginnings.
Oh! Whoa! Phoebe, you are a badass.
Do you agree with our picks? Check out this other recent clip from MsMojo, and be sure to subscribe and ring the bell to be notified about our latest videos.